watching Morning at NTV.
This is Morning at NTV, and thank you for making us the #1 breakfast show in the country. Our next conversation, we're going to be talking about people that are grappling with the HIV scourge. People living with HIV. So, the new Miss Y Plus is Queen Esther Kalasambo, a USAID Rights Southwest young leader, an area ambassador with Elizabeth Glazer Pediatric AIDS Foundation, helping other young people stay HIV-free, test, and if positive, get and stay on treatment. Esther's parents never married. She was born with HIV and her mother died when she was only 8 months old. The 21-year-old is a BCom student and a rising star. But before we get to Esther's story, we want to know about Miss Y Plus and what it means for the HIV and AIDS fight in Uganda. I have her right now in studio. Very good morning, Esther. Thank you for coming. So help us understand about the Miss Y Plus beauty pageant. What is it all about and why is it so important?
Thank you so much. Miss Y Plus Beauty Pageant, it is a campaign which is organized by Uganda Network of Young People Living with HIV, specifically to help young people living with HIV outside there to build their self-esteem, to know that despite the fact that you're living with HIV, you can still live, you're beautiful, you can become a queen, you can help your fellows, but in a way that it is more convenient for them, because, you know, when you're given this title of being a miss, there is that confidence and esteem that builds in you, so you feel you can do anything, you feel you have a platform. So it is organized to make sure that other young people outside there, it again helps to fight stigma, because when you see other young people coming out and they become beauty queens and they are recognized in the country, it helps them to build that confidence and they feel like despite they are living with HIV, they are recognized and they can do anything they want. Thank you.
Esther, I do understand that you never felt positive about life always, and you never felt this beautiful about life always. Your parents never married. You lost your mother at the age of only 10 months old. You were only 10 months old. Then you lost your father when you were in grade 5. Your grandparents did not put you on the ARV regimen until after 2 years. Help us understand that period, how you went through that period. Help the viewer understand what you went through.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, my real mom died when I was in 8 months. And my grandparents on my maternal side knew that my mom had died of HIV. Though they tried to take me to the hospital to test, but yeah, they found I was living with HIV. But at that time, there was no treatment for children. It was only for old people. The hospital that could give me treatment was a bit far, so they decided to wait. So after 2 years, I was taken to that hospital, which is Ruhoko Health Center for in Ibanda district, Western Uganda. And I started on treatment, which was Septrin by then. And then about my dad's death, my dad died when I was in primary 5. That was in 2009. And he was also living with HIV, and it's the one that killed him.
So I also understand that your grandparents, after putting you on that on the ARV regimen, after taking you to Ruhoko Health Center 4, I also understand that they would let you trek alone to this hospital for you to get medication. For a 6-year-old, try to help us understand, how hard was it for you? I'm looking at a 6-year-old being told, go to the hospital on your own, get medication. How hard was that?
Okay, at that age, actually, I used to have fun because it was TASO supporting that hospital. Though this time around, they used to get me a border to the hospital. And then when I reach the hospital, the border guy goes back. And then it's the TASO guys, the TASO doctors and counselors that used to look for us children. They do everything necessary. They give us the treatment and we go back home. Only that where the challenge was, because now I had shifted to my paternal side, it was so hard for me because they didn't know what the doctors wanted me to do. They didn't know how I would take the medicine. Yeah, they really supported me because they used to give me everything, food, school fees at that time, and give me transport to the hospital. That was their responsibility, but they did not go far to know that a child needs to be supported.
And after that, your stepmother found that you were not taking your drugs and she helped you adhere to those drugs. Now let's talk about what you're doing right now. This year, you made it to this Pack 19 in Lesotho, where you learned some advocacy and communication skills in that regard. How are you using that advocacy and those communication skills to help young people who are living with HIV adhere to the ARV regimen?
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so honored that this year I happened to attend the Pack 19, which happened in Lesotho. So the training, the skills I got from there, I'm using them to advocate for better services for other young people, not only young people but old people, because this is a trend. We are young now, but we are going to get old sometime in the future. So I'm advocating for better services, whereby I get to communicate or to talk to policy makers, to decision makers, to make sure that at least the services we get are so friendly, because you know, at our age, we are youth. We need to be treated in such a way that it is more convenient for us, because it is easy for people at our age, young people and adolescents, to give up on life. It is so easy because they're not fighting for anything. They don't have children, and now they don't see anything. So if we don't really become so convenient to what they want, they can easily give up and live life, of which, as a country, we need these young people, because after all, they are going to grow old and become important people. Thank you.
Indeed. On December 1st, we held World AIDS Day, and indeed the focus and the theme of those celebrations were on young people and how we can get them into that bracket so that they can adhere to the ARV regimen and also avoid new infections. I don't know if you already know, but young people between the ages of 15 and 24 make up 34% of the new HIV infections. You're 21 years old, you're a BCom student, you're doing very well. But then tell us, World AIDS Day, making a difference. How are you making a difference in that regard to help to help your peers?
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so happy that this year, as the whole world and the country at large, they chose the theme of communities making a difference. And I was so happy that Uganda specifically identified peers as a community. So me personally was helped by a community of peers, which are the area superstars under Elizabeth Glazer Pediatric AIDS Foundation, which is supported by USAID Right Star Southwest Project. So personally, I'm engaged in a community of peers whereby we support each other. We even have a WhatsApp group where we talk to each other, support each other on a daily basis, because you're not taking these drugs on every day. It is not something that is so easy, or it is something that is hard, but we keep on supporting each other. And another thing, I move to different places, encouraging these young people, encouraging adolescents to support each other and to take medicine, not to waste any time, because life is so precious. If you don't fight for it now, you can't fight for it when you're old.
Esther Carl Sambo, isn't she a prolific speaker? I mean, just listening to her, I'm just loving her already. So, Esther Carl Sambo, to help us understand, it's the season of Christmas. Help us understand what you're engaged in, the projects you're working on. What are the key messages this season of Christmas?
Okay, thank you so much. As it being a season of Christmas, first of all, it is a season of gratitude. We need to be grateful. First of all, Elizabeth Glazer's wildest dream, Fia Bongo Taya's wildest dream, my mother's wildest dream, because some time back no one believed that people would live, that a child would born with HIV and live to make 20 years, or become a queen, or go to the university as I'm doing. But the government helped us so much that treatment came up and you can actually take your medication and live long. So those people died, but they died in pain because they never had any hope. So the fact that we are living and we are healthy, I want to take this chance to thank the government of Uganda, because it has really done a great job to get us treatment, to get us medicine, because what you know, every person who tests, they start on treatment immediately. And I'm so happy that the drug stockhouse that used to happen are no longer there. We take our medicine every day. I'm so grateful to the American people. These people have really supported in funds. Most organizations in Uganda are really supported by the American people. And I'm so grateful to Uganda Network of Young People Living with HIV, because they've really given young people a home. Like, you know, when you are belonging to some family, yeah? So that is what they are really doing. I'm so grateful to Elizabeth Glazer Pediatric AIDS Foundation. They've really done a great job. And then USAID Rights, because they have supported a lot of projects to help us pediatrics, because they've really given us care, treatment. That's why you see I'm looking healthy and beautiful, because it's all their support. And then every person, every community, every organization that is really helping young people and old to really get treatment and get services they want, I'm so grateful. And then another thing, the season of Christmas, I can leave a message for people outside there. I know it's a season of Christmas, we are enjoying, we have to go out, maybe have fun, but let us protect ourselves. First of all, let us test and know our status. Like, if you find you're HIV negative, please stay HIV free. We don't want congestion this side, yeah? We are enough, so please make sure that you protect yourself and stay HIV free. And if you test positive, it's not the end of the life. Please, go get treatment, start on it. Everything will be fine. And then to the people who are living with HIV now and they know, please, this is a special message for you. Continue adhering, and please let us now focus on positive prevention, whereby it is going to come through disclosure, where you specifically disclose to your sexual partners, they know your status, and after knowing your status, you too can look for a solution of how to prevent another partner who is negative from getting HIV. And to every person outside there, please support each other. Thank you so much.
Wise words from Esther right there. So as I understand, you've been grappling with HIV since you were born. Help us understand some of the challenges you were, grappling with growing up with regards to stigmatization and discrimination in that regard.
Okay, thank you so much. I was born with HIV, yes, but growing up has been not an easy thing up to now, though now I can defend myself. Okay, growing up, the most challenge was on taking drugs at school. It was so hectic. Students laugh at you when they find out that you're living with HIV. They don't want to befriend you. You are just there with no one. You feel you lack family because at school you don't have your parents there, you don't have your sisters. You are there alone, and the community in a school make you feel like you are there on this planet alone. And then another difficult thing was going to the health center alone. You find other children are having their parents, siblings, sisters, and you're just there and you're like, oh my God, don't I have a family? Was I born alone? And you feel like, there is no support. And then another challenge came up, after growing up, completing my senior 4, and then my grandparents, they are the people who are supporting me. And at that time, they were like, this is done. Like, that is what you deserve, I think. That's what they thought, Like, this is done. So I had no support to go on for A-level, and I had a lot of dreams of which I wanted to achieve. So it was so much hectic that I felt like no one cares about me if my own people cannot really take good care of me and take me to school. Because I think they thought that they are going to invest in me and I die soon. Because, people living with HIV, people have that myth of when you have HIV, you are going to die soon. So they thought I might go to A-level and go to the university, and then after graduating, I die before they get their money back. So they had to stop giving me their support at senior 4. And that was so touching because I thought because of my status, it is the reason why they are not supporting me. They feel they don't want to waste their money. Yeah.
And another problem we are dealing with, young people right now between the ages of 15 to 24 make up 34% of the new HIV infections, something that is really very scary in this country, I'm telling you. And it's also believed that it's the older people who are infecting the younger people, cross-generational sex in that regard. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, thank you so much. I personally have passed through that age of 15. I'm now 21. But then we need to understand that at that age, it is where young people are sexually active. I remember on the beauty pageant, I talked about my story where I disclosed my status to my boyfriend and he had to dump me down. But that was not a big deal. But at that age, many adolescents, many young people are sexually active, and they don't have that information of how to protect themselves. I understand that 34% of HIV infections, it's really hurting. I don't know. It really hurts me so much because you can't get that percent of young people having new infections. I read statistics with the $1 initiative and they were like 100 people get HIV. I'm like, oh my God. But we still have a lot of work to do to make sure that adolescents and young people get to understand what they're supposed to do, to make sure that we cut that statistic down, at least to below less than 10.
Indeed. So what advice would you have for these young people who are sleeping around with older men?
The advice I would give is that, first of all, for the young people themselves, for the people who are living with HIV, it's not a shame and it's not a curse. Let us be open to our partners. That's why I said specifically the sexual partners. Tell him, I'm living with HIV, because you look good. Someone cannot identify you by just looking at you. So tell your sexual partner that I'm living with HIV. Please, let's use a condom. Please, let's do this. And for the people living with HIV, they can still adhere and suppress. That is also a solution. Let us adhere very well, and please let us use condoms. Government provides condoms for free. In hospitals, they are there. I'm so happy that even in hostels, they come and put those things in the corridors of hostels and halls. Please, let's utilize them. And then this cross-generation sex. Please, old men, at least pity us young girls. They always take advantage of young girls because we are vulnerable somehow. We have a lot of needs we want. We have a lot of things that force young girls to go into sex. But, okay, all those are there. And if you feel that's the only solution for you, at least protect yourself, because this is a circle we live in. You're going to infect that young girl, you old man outside there, and the young girl is going to get married to your son. And the HIV you've transmitted to that girl is going to go back to your family and rotate around your son, your grandsons, and everything is going to be a miserable. So let the old men now, this message goes to you. Please be mindful of the future. Imagine that girl is your daughter. Imagine it's your daughter that an old man outside there is looking at and is ready to infect with HIV. Please, let's be mindful of future things. Let's not be selfish. Let's not do things because of the personal desires. Let's be mindful of what is happening outside there and focus on what other people want. Yeah, these young girls need your color. They need money. They need a lot of things, but if you are really going to use them, protect them. If you feel you can't stay without having sex with them, please protect them.
So, Esther, besides adhering to the ARV regimen, how have you been able to stay this healthy despite grappling with HIV? And what advice would you have for the other young people who are grappling with HIV, living with it, but they don't know how best they can stay healthy despite having HIV? How did you do it, and what advice would you have for your peers who have HIV too?
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I know I look good. It's because after adhering, you don't stop from adhering. You have to eat healthy. You have to, yeah, we know we grew up from villages, and we know we grew up eating that food, local food, but it is important because it makes you look good and be healthy. And then another thing, it is what we call self-love. You know, when you feel you're comfortable with what you have and you love yourself, everything becomes good, because after finding out and identifying that I have to live with HIV until the end of my life, I decided to love myself the way I am. I decided to focus on how can I achieve my dreams, whereby I started focusing more on what I want to achieve. And to get to that you want, you must look good first, you must look healthy, you must eat well, you must do exercises, you must do a lot of things to make sure that you look good. So people living with HIV, don't stop on medicine. Eat well, and please love yourself. Don't be miserable when people talk about you that you're living with HIV. I find it fun when people are saying, oh, she lives with HIV, but though she looks good.
She lives with HIV, yet she looks so good. Esther Kabasambo right here. She's living with HIV, but she's so jolly and she speaks so well. You wouldn't even suspect that she has HIV in that regard, because if you are there to the ARV regimen, everything will be okay. Do not relent when it comes to taking your ARVs right there. Everything will be super and your health will be in great shape. My name is Romeo Busiku. This is Morning at NTV. We are going to take a very short breather and we'll be right back with more conversations. Keep it here.